Hello, my name is Jason Max Ferdinand, and I serve as Director of Choral Activities and Chairperson at Oakwood University. But more importantly, for this interview, I'm excited about the new series, the Jason Max Ferdinand series, which is going to be launched very, very, very soon. And with me today, I have Mr. Stephen Murphy. Stephen, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where have you gone to school?
Sure. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. I was fortunate enough my last 2 years of high school to attend Pine Forge Academy in Pine Forge, Pennsylvania. And this is where I met this gentleman here at the age of 16. And from then on, I attended Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. I sang with the Oakwood University Aeolians for 5 years. And this gentleman here has become my mentor over the past year. So that's kind of my background, very brief and to the point. Yeah.
Right. So tell us a little bit about, you have 3 pieces in the series to date, right?
Yeah.
And the most recent being a hymn that we hear so often, primarily in weddings, Oh Perfect Love. So what was the inspiration behind arranging this hymn?
Well, one day I was, we had just gotten back from South Africa, and I was flipping through the Seventh-day Adventist hymnal, perusing it, and I was wondering, I said, man, what's a good hymn I could set out to arrange? And I accidentally flipped to Oh Perfect Love, and the title alone struck me. I said, man, Oh Perfect Love. And I started reading the words, and I started thinking to myself, what does Oh Perfect Love look like? And I began to think about my parents and the love they showed me, Frederick and Jacqueline Murphy. And as a believer of the Christian faith, I thought about God and his demonstration of love. And then I thought about my goddaughter, who was to be born a week later, and that was a big inspiration for me. And I felt that the words of that text was a culmination of everything that represented Oh Perfect Love.
Right. And that goddaughter happens to be my daughter, by the way, little baby Jamie. So Stephen, you have another song in this series called Glory, Glory. And for me, I remember back at Pine Forge, or even at Oakwood at Singspirations, they'd always sing that little chorus on Glory, Glory, Hallelujah.
Yep.
So tell us about that. Why that song?
Sure. A brief explanation for that is one day I was sitting down, I was thinking to myself, what's a choral arrangement of a spiritual that you don't hear often. I've always heard it in the form of a solo and background accompaniment, but I was thinking, what's a choral arrangement of a spiritual that you don't hear often? And I actually so happened, I was searching YouTube, and I came across Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, and something just struck for me. I said, let me do this, because I don't ever hear this. And it also ties back to something you were just saying, growing up and attending Adventist academies. We used to sing Glory, Glory, Hallelujah for worship and chapel and things of that nature. So I said, man, this would be really cool to take that setting and do a choral arrangement.
I think that's important to kind of showcase those spirituals, like you said, that we rarely hear.
Right.
And that people kind of expand their minds as to the wide bastion of this art form, the spirituals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glory,
So Steve, another one of your pieces in this series is, a pretty popular spiritual, Wade in the Water. And I do remember when you sent me the initial score for this, and I thought to myself, you really want me to sing all of these notes. It's on paper, it looked very, very intimidating. Mm-hmm. But as we started learning it, you understand the form, and as soon as the aliens got their ears around the structure of the chords, it was like, oh, we understand this harmony. Mm-hmm. So tell us about this. In terms of, let me ask you this first. In terms of accessibility, were you really intending for other choirs to dive in? Now that it's published, how do we get people to do it?
Oh, wow. Well, let me start with your first question. Mm-hmm. My initial intention wasn't that at all. To be honest with you, at the time I only had one group in mind at the time, which was the Oakwood University Aeolians. And it was also a challenge for myself. I was going through a phase at the time at the age of 23. And that the phase I was going through, at that point I had found my harmonic rhythm, if you will. You know how you find a rhythm in basketball where you're shooting? Yeah. I found my harmonic rhythm, and I wanted to challenge myself. Let's see if I can take what I grew up listening to harmonically and apply it to a choral piece. And the phase I was in was a take 6 phase, a very deep take 6 phase. Okay. I was listening to the album, what is it, He Is Christmas, and specifically the arrangement by Mark Kibble, Little Drummer Boy. Okay. And that has a lot of rhythms in it.
Makes much more sense now. Okay.
Had a lot of rhythms in it. And I was also listening to a lot of Michael Jackson, Off the Wall, and Marvin Gaye. So that piece is actually a culmination of those 3 components. Wow. Strange, I don't know. But that's what I was thinking. And in terms of accessibility to choirs now, I think the scope of choral arranging and choral music has changed so much in the last decade, where pieces have become much more complicated. Rhythmically and harmonically, almost to the point where they almost sound atonal. And a lot of octaval music is on that, has that spin to it now. So I think in terms of accessibility, and when we hear tone clusters, I think this is a little more harmonically accessible. Okay. So that's my thinking.
I have to say, for the people viewing this video, I mean, Wade in the Water, as Steve said, there's so many things in there, and if you're looking for a piece that's definitely a showstopper, if you're looking for a piece that you could apply some staging and some movement, this piece lends itself very well to that. But I think what I like most about the piece is that for young singers in college, like you said, it kind of encapsulates parts of the society they live in. It's not your traditional Negro spiritual arrangements. It feels very funky and groovy and R&B-ish, and there's so many different things in it. So I think it'll be a fun arrangement for singers to put their voices on. Sure. So good job. Kudos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trouble the water, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water.